Hello, and welcome to the FAFSA walkthrough of the 2025-26 academic year with Get to College. My name is Chelsea Williams, and I work for Get to College, a college access nonprofit organization located in Mississippi. Today, we're going to show you how to complete the 25-26 FAFSA, which applies financial aid for the fall semester of 2025, spring semester of 2026, and summer semester of 2026. What you're going to see in this video is a walkthrough of the FAFSA line by line for a dependent student, which requires using parents' information. In this video, we will be starting the form as a student and inviting the parent as a contributor. Let's get started. The first thing you will need to do is go to studentaid.gov. Once you enter into the page, you will go to where it says FAFSA form and then complete the FAFSA form. From there, you will see where it will say Start a 25-26 FAFSA form or log in to edit or accept an invitation for a 25-26 FAFSA form. We are going to select Log in to start. You will then be sent to the login page. I have transitioned to the FAFSA prototype so that we can do this walkthrough for demonstration purposes. So it is going to look a little different here, but just know from there, from the login to start, you will be sent to the login page for you to enter in your FSA ID username as well as password. Okay, so once you do that, you're going to select login. Okay, start a new form. And as I mentioned, we're going to be starting as a student. From there, it is going to bring up a few videos for you. If you would like to watch, you can. But in short, the first video is just explaining what the FAFSA form is and what it stands for, as well as why it is important for our students to complete. Then the second video is all about contributors, is explaining what a contributor is and how you can invite them to the FAFSA form. The third video is all about what you can expect by completing the FAFSA form, as well as about how long you can expect it to take as well. And then lastly, the last video is all about what to expect following the completion and submitting the FAFSA form. It lets you know you should expect the form to be processed between 1 to 3 days. Lets you know that you will be able to view your FAFSA submission summary once it is processed. You'll be able to see what your SAI is, your student aid index, as well as your estimate eligibility for federal aid. And then lastly, letting you know that all of the schools that you listed on your form, they will now have access to your FAFSA form or your FAFSA application as well. So now we're going to select Start FAFSA form. From there, it is going to bring up all of the student identity information that is listed on the studentaid.gov account or FSA ID account. If there is something that is inaccurate, you can change it here, but just be mindful to go back in and change it on your FSA ID account as well. We're going to select Continue if everything looks good. It is then going to ask you about your the student's state of residence. So if they are, whatever the state of legal residence they reside in, they're going to put that information here, as well as the month and year they became a legal resident. So if they have been in this state since they were born, then you're going to put, of course, the month and year that they were born. All right, that is then going to bring you to the Provide Consent and Approval page. And so this is one of the, if not the most important pages or most important page on the FAFSA application. Because of this statement here, you will not be eligible for federal student aid. Okay, so if you do not provide consent and approval, you will not be eligible for federal student aid. So it is important for you to provide that consent and approval. If you would like to go through and read all of this information here about what's actually taking place, you can definitely do so. But the biggest thing to remember is that it is important for you to do so, to provide consent and approval so that you can receive the federal student aid if you are eligible for it. So we're going to go ahead and select approve and continue on with the form. As you can see here, it is thinking, as we call it, to make sure everything looks good, as the IRS and federal student aid is what we call talking to each other. As you can see, it says success, so they were able to securely import your information from the IRS, so you were able to continue and to proceed with the form. From here, you are going to enter into your personal circumstance questions. This section here will ask you questions to help determine your eligibility for federal student aid, as well as to determine if you are a dependent or independent student. So we're going to go ahead and select continue and move forward. So the first set of, I guess you can say, questions here is the student current marital status. So it's asking what the student's current marital status is as of today. So if a student is single, never married, they're going to select that. If they're married and so forth, as you can see the answer choices below, they'll go ahead and select which pertains to them. For this purpose, we're going to select single and continue on to the next set of questions. It is then asking when the student begins the 2025-2026 school year, what would their college grade level be? So if they would be a freshman, a sophomore, and beyond, we're going to select freshman here. And then lastly, it's asking when the student begins the 25-26 school year, will they have their first bachelor's degree? And we're going to select no here. From there, we are going to enter into a student's personal circumstance questions. So this list of questions is going to determine whether or not a student is seen as independent on the FAFSA or dependent on the FAFSA. If a student answers yes to any of these questions listed, they will be seen as an independent, or they will be independent on the form. And so they will only use their financial information. They will not need their parents, just themselves. So the first question is asking, the student is currently serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces for purposes other than training. So this does not count towards if a student is in the National Guard or anything like that. In order for a student to be able to select yes to this question, they will need to be in active duty and actually have orders. So if they do not have any active duty orders, they will not select yes to this question. The next question is the student is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. Pretty self-explanatory there. If that applies to them, they will select yes. If not, they'll move on to the next question, which is the student has children or other people, excluding their spouse, who live with them and receive more than half of their support from the student now and between July 1st of 2025 and June 30th of 2026. Okay, so if a student has a child or other people, excluding their spouse, who they are providing more than half of their support for, they will select yes to this question. Going on to the next question, at any time since the student turned 13, they were an orphan, meaning they had no living biological or adoptive parent. I'm going to also read the next two as it kind of pertains to the same since the student turned 18 phrase there. So the next one as well, at any time since the student turned 13, they were ward of the court. And then lastly, at any time since the student turned 13, they were in foster care. So again, these three questions, the biggest thing here is for a student to fully understand that the phrase since the student turned 13. So since they turned 13, if any of those things following the comma happened, they are able to select yes to this question or to these questions. Moving on to the next question. The student is or was a legally emancipated minor as determined by a court in their state of residence. Each state handles emancipation differently. So if there are any viewers here that are watching outside the state of Mississippi, definitely reach out to the colleges in which you are planning to submit your application to just see how their financial aid offices handle emancipation in that state. I know in Mississippi, emancipation isn't really recognized, but definitely reach out to the financial aid office and just see how they handle emancipation for that state as well as for that school. And then lastly, the student is or was in legal guardianship with someone other than their parent or step-parent as determined by a court in their state of residence. It is important to understand that this is asking about legal guardianship and not legal custody. Legal guardianship and legal custody are two totally different things. So just know, if you as the student select yes to this question as they're being in legal guardianship, you must provide the paperwork or have the paperwork ready so that you will be able to show that you are in fact or was in fact in legal guardianship at some point. So if a student is able to select yes to any of those questions that we just went through, they are independent on the FAFSA and will only use their financial information and will not need parents' information, okay? For the purpose of this video, though, we are going to select none of these apply and move forward. Then brings us to our next question, which is on student homelessness. It says, at any time on or after July 1st, 2024, was the student unaccompanied and either 1, homeless, or 2, self-supporting and at risk of being homeless? If you answer yes to this question, it is going to have a drop-down question that is asking, did any of the following determine the student was homeless or at risk of being homeless? And so the student will just need to select who has deemed them in this situation above. If the answer is no, they'll just select no and continue on with the form. Next is the student unusual circumstances. This is a question here for students, and it is asking, do unusual circumstances prevent the student from contacting their parents, or would contacting their parents pose a risk to the student? And then it lists a few examples of what unusual circumstances might be that the student is facing. So they left home due to an abusive or threatening environment. They were abandoned by or are estranged from their parents. They have refugee or asylum status. They're a victim of human trafficking. Parents are incarcerated, or they are incarcerated, or their parents are incarcerated, and they cannot contact those parents as it could pose a risk. And then the last one, they're just unable to contact or even locate their parents. And so if that is your case or a student's case, then they will select yes and continue on with the form. If not, they'll select no and continue on with the form. I will say, if they do select yes here, it is going to, the FAFSA form is going to label the student as what they call a provisional independent student. And what that would do is that will allow the student to continue on with the form without having to input parental information. So they will be seen as a provisional independent student, so not necessarily, in fact, an independent student, because it will be left up to the student's financial aid office, whatever school the student is planning to attend, financial aid office, to fully label them as independent here on the FAFSA. So just know that if you select yes, you will be able to continue and complete and submit the FAFSA form without parental information. But if not, you will still be dependent and will have to enter parental information. So as it says here, hey, you are a dependent student on the FAFSA form. So that means that you will need to provide parents' information on this application. There is another question here that says, are the students' parents refusing to provide information on this FAFSA form? Biggest thing here is that if you select yes, you will only be eligible for direct unsubsidized loans. As you can see here, it does say direct unsubsidized loan only, and that is exactly the case. So if you select yes here, you will not be considered for federal Pell Grant eligibility. You will only be eligible for direct unsubsidized loan. This posed as a very tricky question last cycle, to a lot of students, and so FSA, or Federal Student Aid, has decided to go ahead and pre-populate this question as no, which is why you can see here that it is highlighted as no, because we want this to be the last case scenario in all possible. So just know here, if you select yes, only direct unsubsidized loans are available here. Right, next, this brings you into what is known as the parent wizard on the application. So this here is just to help a student figure out who is their contributor, who needs to be the parent that they invite to fill out their parents' information on the form. So it's asking, are your parents married to each other? We're going to select no. That's going to trigger the next question that says, do your parents live together? We're going to select no. The next question is, did one parent provide more financial support than the other parent over the past 12 months? Okay, we are going to select yes here, which is going to trigger the last question. Has the parent you identified in the previous question remarried? We're going to select no. Once you have answered these questions, it is going to let you know whose information you should use and which parent you should invite. As you can see here, it says provide the information for this parent only. We're going to continue, and that's going to take us into the invite the parents to the FAFSA form. Okay, so I've already filled this out, but a student will need to enter their parents' information for them to send the invite to. So they will need to enter their first name, their last name, their date of birth, their social security number, and an email address. Once they have entered in this information, they will go ahead and send the invite to that parent for them to complete their portion of the FAFSA. We will then continue on, and now we are entering the student demographics section. It's important to note that these questions are used for research purposes only, and they will not affect federal student aid eligibility. Okay, so it is asking what the student's gender is. So we're going to enter that information there. If you prefer not to answer, you can select that there. Prefer not to answer. Now we're on to the race and ethnicity portion. It is asking, is the student Hispanic, Latino, or of Spanish origin? If you'll answer that question as it pertains to you. Same for what is the student's race. And again, if you do not feel comfortable answering, you can select prefer not to answer, but just remember, these questions are used for research purposes only and will not affect student aid eligibility. We're now entering the student citizenship status question. So you will select what pertains to you there. So we're going to select U.S. citizen or national. We're then entering the parent's education status. So did either of the student's parents attend college or complete college? Okay, so you will answer that based off of your parents' education status. If you don't know, you can select don't know and continue on with the form. The next question is parent killed in line of duty. So this is asking, was the student's parent or guardian killed in the line of duty while either 1, serving on active duty as a member of the U.S. Armed Forces or on on or after the events of 9/11, or 2, performing official duties as a public safety officer. And so public safety officers include law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency service workers. If that pertains to you, you will select yes. If not, you will select no and continue on with the form. Now we're entering the student high school completion status. So you will select what your high school completion status will be. And so we're going to select high school diploma and continue. And now we're going to enter the state in which your student graduated. So we're going to select Mississippi. I'm just going to pick a city here as there's limited functionality here on this prototype. Once we do that, you will select that school. Once you find your school, you will go ahead and highlight it and continue. It is then going to just make you confirm that that is indeed the high school that you attended. Once you do that, you will select continue and continue on. Now we are in the finance portion of the FAFSA. So we're going to select continue and enter into that. Okay, so this is all based off of the student's 2023 tax return information, okay? So it is asking if the student has an IRA rollover into another IRA or qualified plan. Usually it's 0. Same for pension rollover into an IRA or the qualified plan. 0 there as well. Okay, then it is asking amount of college grants, scholarships, AmeriCorps benefits reported as income to the IRS. Okay, what this is the student has paid taxes on these grants, scholarship, or benefits. Okay, so any type of grant, scholarships, AmeriCorps benefits that a student has reported on their income taxes and that they have paid taxes on will be that is the amount that they will put here. If that does not pertain to the student, then they will just put 0 and continue on with the form. Then it's asking again foreign earned income, or it is asking foreign earned income exclusion. Usually it's 0, but as you can see here, it does have a line number where you can find this at on your tax return if you do have your taxes in front of you. Now we're entering into the total cash, savings, and checking accounts. Current total cash, savings, and checking accounts. So we're in the asset portion of the FAFSA form. And this is where students need to put in their total of cash, savings, and checking account amounts. So we're just going to put a total of 200 here. It is then asking what the current net worth of investments, including real estate, what that is. So this includes things, stocks, bonds, CDs, anything of that nature that they have, college saving plans, anything of that nature is what they will put here. Just note there will be a question mark or a little I there for more information on your on the real FAFSA form. Again, this is prototype, so there's a lot of limited functionality there. But it will be there to kind of give you more in detail of what you should include here. But we're going to, for this demonstration purpose, we're going to put 0. And then the next question is net worth of businesses and investment farms. So this is if a student has a business in their name, a business of their own, and they make any type of profit, they will need to put that amount there. Just note that net worth is the value of the business and farms minus any debts owed against them. So if they have any type of equipment or anything of that nature that they are currently paying on, they need to subtract that from the amount that they earn. But again, we're going to put 0 for this demonstration purpose and continue on. Now we're entering into the select colleges and career school portion of the form. A student can select up to 20 schools that they would like to attend, and then this will, the schools that they enter on here, or they select on here, this are the schools their FAFSA application will be sent to. So make sure that they send, or they select all the schools that they can think of that they want to send their application to. Definitely the schools that they have already applied to. You should go ahead and put them on here. And just note that if they, for whatever reason, a student decides they want to go somewhere else and they've already submitted their FAFSA, they can go back in and add that school if they did not previously. So just keep that in mind as well. Now we are at the end of the student portion. As you can see here, this is a summary of all the things that we have input on the FAFSA. You can kind of go back and see exactly what you've done. It lets you know that, hey, you have sent your contributor invite to your parent and that it was sent on this date. So you'll be able to continue just after you see that and confirm that everything looks good there. You are now at your sign and not sign and complete, but at your sign portion, because we're not completed with parents that has to do their portion before they can actually complete the form. But this is where you will sign for yourself as a student. Select sign here, and as you can see, it says you're almost there. The student section is complete. Now it is up to the parent to do their portion before you can successfully submit the FAFSA. Okay, so now we have shifted to the email invite that was sent to mom once student has completed their section. So as you can see here, mom would get an email just letting them know, hey, Raya will not be eligible for federal student aid unless you provide your input. So from that point, mom will need to log into her studentaid.gov account with her username and password. So we're going to log in here. From there, we're going to accept the invitation to complete our section for Raya's application. Okay, we're going to select continue. And from here, it's going to put us on that same entrance page as we saw earlier in the students portion. So you're going to have a few videos here explaining what the FAFSA form is, explaining what contributors are and how to invite them, explaining what to expect, and then lastly, explaining what should take place after submitting the FAFSA form. So mom or contributor can go in and watch those videos for more information if they would like. If not, they can just continue through and start their portion of the FAFSA form. Okay, once again, all the information here is pulled over from the studentaid.gov account, so mom can just verify that everything looks good here and continue on into the application. And then we are once again at the most important page of the application, which is to provide consent and approval. It is important for mom to as well provide her consent and approval to allow that tax information to be sent over from the IRS. So you'll select approve here. Just be mindful and remember that if you do decline, that the student will not be eligible for federal student aid. So we're going to select approve here and continue on with the form. It is thinking, making sure everything is looking good here. We got a green success, so we are good to go to continue on to the next set of questions. So we are now entering into the parents demographic section. Mom or contributor should put their current marital status, so what they are current in at this moment. So we're going to select single, never married, and continue on. We're now at the parent state of legal residence, so we're going to go ahead and input Mississippi. Again, it is asking did that parent, or when was the date and year, or month and year, that that parent became a legal resident of that state. So if it's been since they were born, it will be the month and year that they were born. And then we're entering into the parent finance questions. So as you can see, the parent portion is pretty short. It's shorter than the student's portion. So we're already at the finances. So let's just go ahead and continue on. Okay, so the first section that it is bringing us to is the federal benefits received. So it is asking at any time during the 2023 or 2024 year, did the parent or anyone in the family receive benefits from any of the following federal programs. So, Earned Income Credit, Federal Housing Assistance, free or reduced price school lunch, Medicaid, refundable credit for coverage under a qualified health plan, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or SNAP, SSI or Supplemental Security Income, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families or TANF, and then Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children or WIC. If you did not, or anyone in your family did not receive any of these benefits, you will select none of these apply and continue on with the form. It is then asking what your family size is. Okay, so it says here family size includes the parent and their spouse, the student, and other people if they now live with the parent, and the parent will provide more than half of their support between July 1st of 2025 and June 30th of 2026. So this includes dependent children who meet these criteria even if they live apart because of college enrollment. Okay. We are making it a best practice to select yes here so that we can see what has been actually pulled over from those taxes. So as you can see here, it says a family size of 3, depending on the dependents that you claim. So if this is not the accurate family size, you can change it. So for example, let's say you have an additional child that is living with you. You will select, and your family size is 4. You will enter in 1 to make it to 4. You will not put in 4 because it's going to make it to 7. So we're going to put in 1, make it to 4, and continue. It is asking out of the 4 people in their parents' family, how many will be in college July 1st of 2025, June 30th of 2026, and this does not include the parents. So we're going to put in 1. Okay, and then it is asking about your tax return information for the 2023 year. So IRA rollover into another IRA or qualified plan. If you have that, you will put that here. Same for pension rollover into an IRA or other qualified plan. If you have that amount, you'll put that here as well. The next is that the parent received the Earned Income Credit. If the answer is yes, you will put that. You will select yes. You can find out by looking at the IRS 1040 form on line 27. If you don't know, if you don't have your tax return with you on hand, you can select don't know and continue on with the form. Amount of college grants, scholarships, or AmeriCorps benefits reported as income to the IRS. So this is the same as I mentioned in the student portion. So this is benefits that you have reported on your income taxes. So if you did not report or pay any taxes on any grants, this amount will be 0. And lastly, foreign earned income exclusion, which can be found on the 1040 on line 8D. Put that amount here and continue on. Okay, so now it is asking about the annual child support received. So you're going to enter the total amount of child support received for the last complete calendar year. So if you receive child support or if you are receiving child support, you will need to enter in that total amount that you received for the last year. So right now we're in 2025, so you will need to enter in the full amount you received for the 2024 year. If you do not receive child support, you will just enter in 0 here and continue on with the form. And then lastly, we are going into the parent asset. So we're going to be entering in for same as we did with the student. Parent will need to enter in their total of cash, savings, and checking, the amounts they have there in those accounts. So I'm going to just put a number in here. And then net worth of investment. So again, this is any stocks, bonds, CDs, that real estate that you may have. This also includes a college saving plan. So if you have any 529 college saving plan, you'll enter that amount here. However, you will only enter the amount for the student that you are completing the FAFSA for. If you have multiple children and you have college saving plans on all of them, you don't have to worry about putting your other children amount just for the student that you are completing the FAFSA form for. If you don't have any investments, you'll enter in 0 and continue on to the last question, which is current net worth of businesses and investment farms. Again, this is any business that you may have that you are receiving a profit off of. You'll need to enter that net worth in, but just be mindful that you will subtract any debts owed against it. So if you have any equipment or anything that you are currently paying on with your business, you will subtract that, as that will be the total net worth that you will enter in here. But if not, you'll enter in 0 and continue on with the form, which is the end. So as I mentioned earlier, the parent portion is very short. It is shorter than the students, unless you have to put in anything manually. But if not, if everything is transferring over, it should be a pretty short thing for you to do. Again, this is the summary page. You can go through and just look at everything that you input, make sure everything is looking good there. And then you'll continue on and you will sign for yourself, and you will sign and submit. So you will be the person, the parent, will be the person that will successfully submit your student's application. And as you can see here, you have a congratulations, your FAFSA form is complete. Okay, so brings us to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the comments below. We monitor those often, so we will definitely respond as soon as we are able to. If you are in Mississippi, we would be happy to help you with your FAFSA if needed. You can find more information on the FAFSA as well as free resources for students and educators that can be found on our website at www.gettocollege.org. Thanks for joining us.